Hi and welcome. I'm John and this is Unique Wargaming Terrain. Guys, welcome back. This is the Monday painting video. The model on this video, for everyone that's new, is voted for by my viewers from the weekly Wednesday. So last Wednesday's vote was for this Canoptek Spyder. Yeah, and I put it together. Well, I put the back and the front together and glued it into his flying stand. But the only thing I would say is I didn't put it in the flying stand properly. So for me, it could, if that does snap off at any point, I put my own flying stand on it. It's not an issue, but just be aware of that, guys, when you're putting that in there. My problem was I glued it into here and then tried to glue it into the base. Yeah, to glue it into the base first and then glue the Spyder on. But it's there, it's fine, perfect. I try and do one of these. I do these every Monday for you guys. For all my regulars here, guys, I feel love. Thank you very much. I'll see you in a second. Right, so let's have a look at the wet palette, shall we? So I have beaten copper, rich blue armor, polished blue, Rune Lord brass. So no surprise there. Some White Scars white. I have Dark Angels green. I have Vulcan green, and the green in the middle is actually this very old foundation paint. I come across it. I thought I'd give it a go. I do actually have some Moot green and some Fiston red, because I think there's going to be certain areas of it that I'm going to just do red blobs here and there. And I do have some Canoptek alloy in the background, just in case I decide to give it a little bit of a dry brush here and there. So this is an absolute amazing model to paint. So the first thing I'm going to do the back colour paste with the polished blue. As always, I have my colour place or shoulder pads for my Necron guys. They have polished blue on there, so I'm just going to whack a little bit of blue on there so you can see the area I'm doing. Okay, that's the area that's going to be polished blue. Right, so there's the polished blue. Okay, to the underneath as well. With that polished blue, I've tried to do the edges a bit brighter and then just let it not dry off, but just as I'm coming into the middle, I'm not adding more paint to the brush, so it's more silvery. So when I add the green and stuff into it, it's going to look fantastic. Now I'm going to take some Canoptek alloy and I'm going to go for the body in here. Okay, this part in here, all the way around. This is a very difficult model to paint on camera, to be honest with you. I'm actually looking at this now thinking, wow, how am I going to paint giants and, Cygors and stuff like that? I'm probably going to do this part of his weapon casing as well. Okay. That's going to all be Canoptek alloy. Right, so here we are. Somebody will say, John, you're not showing us much, base colouring going on. There's going to be a lot of work with the green. Anyone that's seen a Necron video that me painting Necrons, you know that I do a lot of work on the power sections. So like all of this on the back here, the little power nodes on the weapons. There's a crystal under here. There's a little ball of energy in there that you can't see at the moment because it's quite dark, but it's when I start doing that. And that's what I'm going to go for next. I'm going to go for all those little details. Now, the three greens I have here, Dark Angels green, that's the Vulcan green, and that's the foundation, this one, however you pronounce that. It's a very old paint, but the Dark Angels green is the darkest one. Have all three of them. Okay, followed by Vulcan, followed by that foundation paint. So I'm going to water down a bit of this Dark Angels green, and I'm going to go in here, and just to get the power nodes, there's actually on top of his legs little power nodes there as well, so I'm going to give that a little touch as well. I'll come back to you when I've done that, because that's going to be very tedious. And what I'm going to do as well, actually, in between the spinal columns, I'm going to do them as well. Okay. Right, so here we are. Okay. I actually watered it down to go in between the spine there. It's a faint bit of green, and when I add next level of green, it'll just make it pop even more. One colour I forgot was lead belcher for the piping and the wires and all that stuff. Okay, so I'm going to get some lead belcher on the paint on the palette here, and I'm going to do like tentacles here, the piping, all the piping for the gun underneath, the pipings, you know, up here and all that stuff. I might even add a bit of silver and a bit of the lead belcher on the back here, the guns here. Yeah, just to bring it up a little bit. These two little mandibles at the front here. Okay, he's got two big ones, two little ones. I'm going to do the little ones with lead belcher. Right, so I've done all the silver work underneath. Okay, pipes and, you know, all the little bits and pieces. I've even just touched a little bit of silver work over the main body. Now I'm going to go with some beaten copper, and I'm going to drop in the model with healthy hands. I'm going to do his legs, all the leg talons. I'm going to do these two big mandibles. I'm going to do with the beaten copper. So chuck it on there. Let's give you an idea what I'm doing. And that is how I'm brushing it on. So as it dries, it's going to look not exactly beaten copper, but look a bit, not rustic, but it's going to look like it's worn. Okay. Right, so here we are. So you can see. Okay, the brass is still drying. It's going to give you a nice, like, brassy effect, but with bits of black showing through. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go for Retributor armor. I'm going to do two little eye sockets on his face. Big one's been left. I'm going to do his spinal column with Retributor armor. Okay, that's a very tedious thing, so I will be going to the better brush. Yeah, so here's where we are now. Okay, look at him, it's a bit, oh, I don't know about the gold, oh, I don't know, but this is just the base colours now. That's all the base colours done. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it some non-oil, but I'm going to give the whole thing in non-oil apart from the polished blue. Okay, so all the top here, obviously not the little green parts, but everything else, the gold as well, including the spinal bits, all going to have non-oil washed down. I'll start this and show this on camera, and then I'll go off camera and finish the rest of it off. Just don't want it to pull together, so I just need to make sure I've not got excess amount. Right, so as that's drying with non-oil, I'm now going to go into the green work. So I'm going to get some paint and water on the brush, and I'm going to go into the Vulcan green and really water it down. And what I'm going to do is come in here, over the top, really water that bit. I'm not going to do the whole of this, I'm just going to come in and do little bits of it. bit. Sorry, I've got one more piece, the middle piece in here. You can't really see that on camera, I'm afraid, but in a bit I feel it will be popping right out. You can see that now, yeah. Now I'm going to go with some Fiston Red. I'm going to get that eye done. This is the Fiston Red airbrush paint. Still very wet. Get that on there. Those of you that are regulars here know I hate doing eyes, but these eyes are just absolutely fantastic. Now what I want to do, actually just put a little bit of Fiston Red on the wet palette, pour it down a little bit more so it's more like a wash, and I'm just going to come in here and gently wash it over. It looks a bit orangey on camera, but it will dull down to be a red. I'm going to get in here. This is the nun oil still a little bit wet, so it's going to wet blend it with nun oil a little bit, just to pick out these little pieces. So just breaks up the underneath a little bit. What we got here? We've got another one here. That's kind of perfect. It's kind of really dark. This one here. That's coming out. That's absolutely fantastic. This one's brilliant. See how dark that's come out because the nun oil's still there. Now, because I haven't used that green yet, and I did put it on this green here, I'm actually, as you can see, that on the wet palette, it's turning a bit of blue coming out of it, which is great. I'm actually going to wet a bit of that down. So just experimenting with this now. Wet it right down, and I'm going to run it just along some of the edges here on the outside of the what I want, just to try and brighten it up. So hopefully when I add the white into it, then it's going to really just make it really pop pretty well. That's a bit too much there. Again, this is just me experimenting with the new way of trying to do stuff. Okay, leave that to dry. I'm actually going to Actually thinking about it, I'm going to drop a little bit in here. Just a little bit along here. Just to not just to use it up, but just to experiment with the green even still, because if it goes on nice with the moot green. Let's get a bit in here, shall we? I've been knocking it everywhere. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try something a little bit bold. I'm going to get some Lothern blue, and I'm going to try and get it in here. That's what I'm going for. It's a little bit bold, but hopefully it looks, there's a nice little lighting effect and it shows you that there's power coming out there. Lothern blue is a loud paint, so it will dull itself down. And I've actually watered it down a little bit on the brush, on the wet palette, so that it does skin this side a little bit more. I think it looks great. You guys just comment and let me know what you guys think about it. Now I'm going to go with some moot green. Here's where the magic happens with the green, with the green stuff on it, the green effect on it. I'll take it on the wet palette, and I'm going to water it down on the wet palette so it's really thin. So what I want to do is apply it in here, so it gives me a nice sort of like effect, but without overpowering the other greens. Especially in the middle there. Change brush for that. And some of this as well. because it's so watered down, it will fill the gaps nicely. And the green I did on the edge of it, it shouldn't overpower that at all. I'll be using the paintbrush to knock the camera. Yeah, just wait for that to dry now. It probably will dull down as it dries, but it's not a big issue. Let's get some of this watered down milk green in here actually as well. Give that a few minutes to dry. Whilst I'm just waiting for that to dry, what I'm going to do is, I've got some Canoptek alloy, and I'm going to give it a dry brush. Just along here. Along the mandibles. Just to get all those raised areas. Give it just a little shine on tops here. I'll do it one side of the gun, you'll see what I mean. Yeah, there's a big difference. Just the raised areas getting hit. It didn't have to do this, I just felt like I should, you know, it'd be nice if I could, so well, screw it, I'll do it. Look fine without it. Give the guns a little quick once over. The weapon underneath. Now that's ready for the last colour, which is the white. Right, so I'm going to go with some watered down White Scars white. Now the trick here is, as you can see on the back here, some of it's still wet still. So we're sort of going to do a wet blend. We're going to really go over the top of it with a wet blend. So where the White Scars white is a layer paint, it will dull down, it will mix with the green, and it will give us a nice sort of light effect. there. Now it will dull down, so don't, it will fade away, so you'll see more of the green and lighter areas of the white. You'll see afterwards. Let's get some in there. Actually want to get a bit on the eye socket as well, to break it up a little bit. Just want to get a little bit in here. And a little touch along here. Literally on the guns itself, so that little dab. Into the green on the spine. I don't know, I don't think it really needs it. You know what, let's get a quick once over on the spine. I still have my green on my wet palette, so let's give it a quick once over. Now what I'm going to do is go back to the white Sky's white. Change brush actually, so I want to get in there finely with a fine little brush. Take the water down White Sky's white, and I'm going to wet blend it in. Give me that nice glow effect. It will dull itself down because the White Sky's is a low paint. And we're done. Joy to paint. It was actually fantastic. I really like the eye. I like the lights, the blues coming from there. But the gun looks absolutely fantastic. And as always, I love the stuff on the back. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, this helped you in any way, please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and I'll show you some pretty pictures now, but I'll see you next time. Take it easy, guys.